many times have you opened HOI4, picked a country, and then 5 minutes later restarted because you just couldn't decide what path to take? It is almost a ritual at this point. We all tell ourselves, okay, this time I'll stick with it. But the truth is, most of us never do. And that's because HOI4 has a problem no one really talks about. It isn't about bugs or DLC. It is something deeper. A problem built into the very way the game is designed. HOI4 gives us so many choices, so many possible timelines, that instead of freedom, we often feel paralyzed. It sounds silly, but HOI4 might be one of the hardest games to even start. Not because the mechanics are complicated, but because the menu itself overwhelms us. You've got over 200 nations, DLCs adding even more alt history paths, and mods with hundreds more. And instead of feeling excited, you just feel stuck. Psychologists actually have a name for this: the paradox of choice. The more options you have, the harder it is to make a decision, and the less satisfied you are once you finally do. Which is why so many of us end up stuck in this weird loop of restarting instead of actually playing. And here is the funny part: even when you do finally pick a country, it usually doesn't last long. You play through the first few months, maybe start a war, and then something feels off. Maybe your build wasn't perfect, maybe the AI did something weird, and suddenly it is restart time. And before you know it, it is 2 AM and you have started 6 different campaigns, but not a single one has made it past 1939. And when players do finally stick with a run, it is usually because they have made up rules for themselves. Stuff like, okay, this time no tanks, or I am only allowed to play defensive, or the classic, let's see how far I can go without touching the navy. It sounds silly, but these rules aren't just for fun. They are a way to cut down the overwhelming freedom the game throws at you. So how do HOI4 players deal with too many choices? Easy. They open the workshop and give themselves 10 times more choices. Mods are everywhere. New nations, new mechanics, entire overhaul projects. It is almost ironic, the thing that's supposed to fix choice paralysis often makes it worse. Because instead of just picking Germany, now you're deciding between 15 different versions of Germany, each with 200 focus tree branches. No wonder people get stuck in the menu. It is easy to criticize mods for overwhelming us with too many choices, but the truth is, they are also what make HOI4 worth coming back to. Mods keep the game alive, fresh, and endlessly surprising. You can go from rebuilding the Roman Empire in Kaiserreich to leading a post-apocalyptic army of robots in Old World Blues, and it feels like a brand new game every time. But here's the catch. Mods are like a buffet that never ends. You keep piling things onto your plate until you realize you're too full to even eat. One day you're adding a graphics overhaul, the next you're downloading a modern day mod. And before you know it, you've spent more time browsing the workshop than actually launching the game. And here's the funny thing, even when people burn out on HOI4, they never really leave. They just shift into a different phase, watching YouTube videos, scrolling through memes, or just debating their strategies. It is like the game follows you even when you are not actually playing. And that's part of why we love it. Because HOI4 isn't just a strategy game anymore. It's a community, an ecosystem, a whole world of content built around our collective obsession. HOI4 is basically that friend who never leaves your house, but at least it brings snacks. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And hey, if you have ever felt like HOI4 is slowly taking over your life, you need to watch this next video.